It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
We're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're listening, whenever you're watching, I hope you're doing all right today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's for an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Holiday Inn and all of their properties. That's right. If you're going to travel someplace, you got to stay at a Holiday Inn facility, property, whatever. I personally like the Holiday Inn Express and their resorts. So definitely check it out. And I got some better news about Holiday Inn properties. You can get a Billy C discount. All you got to do is call our toll-free number, 844-603-0364, 844-603-0364. Or if you like me and can't remember lots of numbers, then just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com. and click on the Holiday Inn banner. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Turning Stone Resort and Casino and their next boxing event, which is taking place this weekend, Saturday night. It's an HBO event. Saddam Ali is defending his newly acquired title from his last fight. Get yourself some tickets. Bypass the middleman. Get the best price tickets available by visiting our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and clicking on the fight poster. Now, I had been telling everyone I was going to be ringside for this fight, but some unforeseen changes in my plans will prevent me from being there. But that doesn't mean that you guys shouldn't go. So definitely get yourself some tickets and enjoy a great night of boxing at the Turning Stone. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage, The Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of this book right now where you're watching or listening to this show. All you got to do is go to BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Find out why I'm so adamant about getting Tom Molyneux's story told. Coming up a little bit later, we got Alex Pierpoli, and he's going to be presenting this week's Blast from the Past, which we've been getting a lot of requests from you guys. So if you have a request for a Blast from the Past, just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. This week, an obscure fighter by request, a talented fighter, but virtually unknown. Both Alex and myself had some trouble getting some info on Charles the Stockton Cyclone Turner. So we'll be talking about him. The other thing that you can't forget on today is Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazzard will be stopping by. We'll get his thoughts on Triple G's last fight, victory, etc., plus other topics. I got some news to talk about. I got some fight results in the heavyweight division that took place in Japan. Yeah, you heard it right. A heavyweight in Japan, yeah. But I want to kick off the show with an update on Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. a fight that we're all talking about, a fight that every time I see somebody that is a sports fan, not even just a boxing fan, a sports fan, they always ask me, hey, well, what's going on with that guy from England and that lunatic from the U.S.? Are they going to fight? Now we have our UK correspondent, Johnston, who's actually got a column up on BillyCBoxing.com, so you can check out all his stuff. He got me some updates, some statements that are going around the UK concerning this fight, and some deadlines that have come, some extensions that have been laid down, some plans that may already be in place, and I got some quotes and stuff I'm going to read here in a sec. But the bottom line is, it appears like we've been kind of talking about for some time, that it looks like this fight will happen, but it's not going to happen next for both of these guys. And this is all projected. This is the latest news. I mean, they could announce today. They could announce right now while we're on the air that they just signed a fight. It's happening next month. But it looks like the plan so far will be that AJ, Anthony Joshua, will make his mandatory WBA portion of the collection of belts he has against Alexander Povetkin, and Deontay Wilder will fight Dominic Breazeale, and providing they both get by these fights, they will meet at the end of this year or beginning of next year, depending upon how these fights go. Now, my point here is, and some of the things that you're going to hear from the quotes from Eddie Hearn and company, is that they feel, the powers that be feel, that if they had this fight next, that it may not top 1 million pay-per-view buys, but if they wait and each have a fight in between, that they will exceed 2 million pay-per-view buys, which I don't believe. I don't think that by waiting is going to generate any more interest in this fight. I actually think that it will turn people away. And here's another thing, and we've been saying this for months. The risk involved for both fighters to have a fight in between really is stupid. Anything can happen. We keep saying this. We're reiterating it all the time. Anything can happen in the heavyweight division. You got Alexander Povetkin taking on Anthony Joshua, assumed, and Povetkin's a power puncher. He could knock out Anthony Joshua. Dominic Breazeale is a power puncher, can take a beating. He could knock out Deontay Wilder. Are they probable for Wilder and AJ to lose? Probably not, but it's possible. Now, let me ask you this. What would happen if Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder loses? How many millions and millions of dollars would these guys lose by playing the footsie game and trying to marinate this fight? Joining me right now from St. Simon's, a guy who I've asked the same question to 100,000 times. I pose it to him again. What are these guys thinking? Sal, Rocky, Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Bill. You keep telling me all the right answers, but none of the ones I want to hear.
Bill, it's so bad. Let me tell you, I do not understand their reasoning. First of all, to think that they're not going to pull the trigger and make this fight happen now, where they're a little bit shy, they think, of getting $1 million, 1 million people for the pay-per-view, and to think that one fight away they can net a 2 million viewship is ridiculous, first of all, and it's a big assumption that will not happen. Number two, as you suggested many, many times, and we've talked about, and we've thrown this back and forth over the net, no matter which way you slice it, dice it, or look at it, it doesn't make sense. The risk is not worth the reward. Not only could anything happen in the squared circle at any given night, but you're looking at injuries. You're looking at a perforated eardrum. You're looking at a broken hand. You're looking at a bad cut. You're looking at whatever could happen during training. So why are you going to take the chance of possibly risking $25 to $50 million now for the sake of doing a calculated risk, yes, of fighting a lesser opponent, but the world wants to see, and I think you hit it on the head too. The world is willing to pay for it and see it right now because this is where it's hot. But to think they're going to brew it and keep it on the stove a little longer and cook it a little bit more, I think is a far cry of what they should really be doing. And that's giving the boxing fans what we want now, the World Unification Heavyweight Championship title bout. And give us the two best or two most known, talented and accomplished heavyweight champions right now that they could do without the ridiculous rhetoric and confusion, as I often say, the fluff without the stuff. What do you say?
I say that, the risk involved, and if we want to look at this just specifically about the money, would make me really leery of taking any chances. Let's face it, anything can happen. Forget about in the ring. What about training? I've seen, in other sports, these guys, doing a normal training routine that they do all the time and tear an ACL or something like that can ruin their careers. It's boxers aren't, removed from that type of risk. So, to prolong it when you have that much money in front of you, to prolong it is just ridiculous. It's a mistake. Now, what I could see happening from if they want to, try and milk the fans and get as much money out of it as possible, which, I'm not going to criticize, do the 2-fight deal. Have the first fight, and then you kind of have a safety net by having a fight in between the two. Give the guy who lost the first fight a chance, or chances are it would end up as a draw, but give the guy who lost the first fight a chance to get a W. Give the guy who won the first fight a chance to, with a stay busy fight, and then have the rematch. That's maybe the approach I would take. It's just ridiculous to prolong this. Let me get some comments and quotes that my man Johnston hooked us up with. He says, hey guys, this is a recent interview that Barry Hearn said. He said the fight happening next is possible. The deadline now has passed and set up a fight with Povetkin, but as the deadline was extended, there hasn't been an announcement from the WBA or team of Povetkin, so the rumor of the extension was true. According to AJ, he said this fight is going to happen 95% this year. This year being the hint that had agreed to make the fight happen in December. Actually, Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, I think, met yesterday afternoon or will be meeting today. And Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn said, I have a meeting with Anthony Joshua, and it will be taking place before I head to New York. The decision we're making are basically numbers. It's a numbers game and has nothing to do with the sport of boxing. It's purely has to do with that, what you're going to get if you fight Povetkin. This is what you're going to get if you fight Miller. This is Miller. Why would he even consider
Miller?
that?
Why is
that
Miller
fat
even
pig?
in there?
That's what you get if you fight Wilder. This is what you get if you fight Wilder in America. This is what you get if you fight Wilder in England. You're the boss. What do you want to do? Deontay Wilder is, concerned with legacy, so he claims it's not about the money. Eddie Hearn went on to say, I'm not worried. He says, if it were me, I would tell you, this is Eddie Hearn, he said, I would tell you to wait on the Deontay Wilder fight. This is Eddie Hearn's opinion to Anthony Joshua. And he says, it's not because I'm worried about Deontay Wilder, but currently, and at this time, you're looking at 500,000 to 600,000 pay-per-views in a year. If it was promoted properly, this could net 2 million or maybe even 2.5 million pay-per-views. He says, this is Eddie Hearn, I said to Anthony Joshua, if he had 6 months to live, I would tell you to go fight Wilder. Take the money and fight Wilder. But if you're saying to me that your plan is to build your legacy, then I'm saying let's capitalize it on the correct way. But ultimately, it's his decision. It's his team's decision. I don't box. I make the fights. He says it's a credible way of doing business. If you start letting the fans be the matchmakers, you'll end up being skint. When you talk to Anthony Joshua, I believe he's planning another 8 years of fighting, all at the top. So if he is, and he takes that view, the only thing that can derail him is getting beaten. The fear of getting beaten is what pushes him in the gym every day. The reason our meeting is starting later in the afternoon is so he can fit a gym session in. While he's got that attitude, I don't have a worry in the world about anybody beating AJ. My worry is just to getting him the maximum amount of money because that's my job. His job is knocking people out. Like Johnston, I totally disagree with Barry Hearn on this as much as I respect this man, Sal. I disagree. First of all, I think the numbers are ridiculous to suggest that he would only get 500,000 or 600,000 pay-per-views if the fight was held today, and if they put it off a year, that he would get. Not only did he suggest 1 to 2 million, but he even went as high as saying 1 to 2.5 million, which would say to me, if you do the math, that he's saying hold off 1 year and we'll get almost 2 million more buys. I disagree. I think it'll turn people off. And as far as the letting fans do the matchmaking, you know, you got to give the fans what you want. It's a business that without the fans shelling out the money, you got Ugats, right, Sal? You got Ugats. I mean, Ugats. You know, what's the point? Why are they waiting? What's your thoughts after hearing Eddie Hearn trying to justify convincing AJ to hold his horses?
I'll tell you what. I'm going to say this. I think they're trying to elongate and protect Anthony Joshua. And that's my opinion. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to think that he can get past Deontay Wilder on this level. And you know what? Because, Bill, it does not make any sense whatsoever that they are going to elongate the temptation of having these two champions in the ring before the end of the year or before this year. As you suggested, I think a rematch clause in the contract would be suitable. I think it would be definite. I think it would be the way to go. And maybe having that one little cushion fight in between for each fighter would then be justifiable as well. And these guys could make over $50 million each in the next year alone, based on just a 3-fight lineup like that. And you know what? I'm sorry. If you're going to risk all that for another $50 million, you may not see the other $50 million, and you may not see the $50 million, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And like I said, there's training injuries. You could break your leg. Yeah, look at me. I tore a rotator cuff. I got banned from boxing, until I surgically repair it. But the bottom line is, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So you should sign, seal, and prepare to deliver what the fans want, what the promoters could capitalize on, and what the fighters could also net a heck of a retirement nest egg where they are right now.
You have to assume that both of these guys are financially sound even right now. But if it becomes a numbers game, Sal, it makes absolutely no sense to wait. If they were still building it up, I get it that AJ's the bigger name, worldwide recognition. I get it that Deontay Wilder has just recently starting to, make some noise, worldwide in terms of recognition. I get all of that. But the desire for this fight is so high, and the sport is on such a rise that, you need to make the fight now. I think if you look at a 3-fight deal, and I don't mean 3 fights with each other, but I mean a 3-fight package where you say, listen, here's what we do. Let's sign the papers. Let's have a fight next. We'll fight wherever they decide to have the fight. Whoever wins, it doesn't matter. You have a fight in between. Each guy goes back to his home turf, has a fight in between, and then you have the rematch, a 3-fight deal in a sense. And the rematch, providing the first, if the first fight is a great fight, the rematch is going to do even better. So I mean, it makes no sense to hold it off. I'm telling you that I believe that it will turn people off. The people that have been on the hook about returning to boxing as a fan will get turned off if this fight doesn't get made again, especially if they put them in with any less than stellar opposition. With AJ's case, he's got a mandatory against a good fighter in Povetkin. And to be honest with you, Deontay Wilder, I like Wilder Brazil fight. I like the fight. A lot of people think I'm nuts, but I got a feeling
all along.
But you know, the funny thing is they're both risky fights. Sal, hold that thought. We got to take a break. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604. Listen to.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace? Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. Just before we went to break, we were talking about the possibility of course, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua fight. And these guys are trying to drag it out some more. I think, Sal, real quick, just because I got some other stuff to talk about, I think that it's really being counterproductive. I strongly believe that it's going to push people away. I think that we have gained some casual fans back in the sport. Some numbers that I'm going to talk about with Triple G's fight is an indicator there. And I think you got to keep momentum going. You know, it's You can't let us regress. And I know that they're concerned about their own fighters, their own careers, etc. But I could see how pissed a lot of boxing fans have been over the last decade, and they start to see boxing coming back again. And then all of a sudden, the words, I can almost project the words I'm going to start to hear from fans. Here we go again. Same old boxing. You know, you get a fight already and all the shenanigans. I mean, it's bad enough that we came off the Triple G Canelo draw, and then all of a sudden you build another circus environment. What's your thoughts?
Well, Billy, you hit it on the head. I mean, you know, how much will fans endure? You know, when they have the thing that they've been waiting for kept from them, you know, teasing them on and on. You know, it may turn off some fans, may turn away some fans, and just because the logistics will not equal what a fan's anticipation to see an event of this magnitude is going to be all along. So I think that it's a risky, calculated idea, and I don't think it's going to pan out the way that this big suits think it's going to do so.
Nope, couldn't agree with you more. Just since we got so much stuff to talk about today, there was a heavyweight fight Monday, which is Tuesday, or I don't know. I get all mixed up with the Japanese time difference here, but top 15 at least ranked heavyweight Keitaro Fujimoto improved to 19-1 with 11 knockouts when he knocked out Aaron Russell at 28 seconds of the 8th round in their fight on Monday, and Monday in Tokyo time. You know, Fujimoto, like I said, improved to 19-1. Russell loses for the 5th time in his career. He's now 11-5. We're trying to keep people updated on the heavyweight division since it seems to be such a hot division right now. Speaking of being hot, Sal, how about Triple G, Vanes Martirosyan, peaking out at almost 1.4 million viewers, according to Nelson ratings, which put the Triple G Martirosyan fight as the top-rated cable fight so far of 2018, and it's also been the top-rated premium cable fight since 2016, and the last fight that it just beat, the record that it just beat, was Triple G's last fight. So people that say that Triple G's not a draw, what are they talking about?
That's big, man. I'll tell you what. What do they have? 3 weeks to promote that?
Exactly. Great. Hey, what a great point, Sal. I wasn't even thinking of that. What a great point.
Email that to Eddie Hearn.
I tell you, what a great point, Sal. You're dead nuts right on that. You know, the truth of the matter is you got to give Triple G the credit for being the draw when they didn't even have 3 full weeks. What a great point. I'm glad to see you paying attention today, Sal. That's good.
Paying attention. You should see.
That's good.
Pay my mortgage too.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. No, you're right. And you know, that's why
3 weeks.
That's why my opinion with Triple G is to, you know, don't be so fast to give Canelo a huge payday. Screw Canelo. Forget about him. Go after somebody else, like maybe the Charlo brothers. You know, they're talking about the super welterweight or junior middleweight champion Charlo, which is Jermell Charlo. Jermall Charlo is the one who campaigns at middleweight and was calling out Daniel Jacobs below Madison Square Garden a month or so ago in a video that went, you know, kind of all over the world on the internet. And, you know, now he feels he doesn't want to fight Danny Jacobs. He wants to move right to Triple G, claiming Triple G is ducking him. Now, when we move to his brother, who's the WBC junior middleweight champion, Jermell Charlo, he is just scheduled to fight Austin Trout in June 9th. And they're talking smack. Jermell Charlo said, me and my brother talk, and we walk the walk. From this point on in our careers, from this point going forward, we're going full force, and it's going to be nothing but knockouts. I didn't have to go through what Trout had to go through in his last fight against Hurd. I'm the fresher, younger fighter. I don't take anything away from what he's done in his career, but I have my own career and legacy that he's standing in my way. Austin Trout says on June 9th, you can expect to see my hand raised. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a great fight. Blah, 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 like Charlie Brown's teacher would say. Wah, 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 wah. But here's the bottom line, Sal. When will either Charlo brother fight a guy that is, either not, way beyond, youth status or prime? Let me use the word prime status. When are they going to pick a guy that's not way past their prime? And when are they going to pick a guy that's actually the same size? Forget the weight class, the same size. Jermell Charlo mentions Jared Hurd. Why isn't Jared Hurd fighting one of the Charlo brothers? That's a good fight. How come these guys don't fight guys their own size? Why?
Well, hey, they want a competitive edge. I don't know.
That's my point.
But I'll tell you what, they're talented brothers. They're talented fighters, and they could be definitely they are world class. And any given night, they could probably beat any fighter out there. It's just a matter of making them dance with the right partner. And I think the Charlo brothers have some things to answer, too, as far as having a mega big fight against a real formidable opponent that's in their peak as well. And hopefully we'll start to see that. I mean, these guys, it's inevitable, Bill. When you're riding at that speed, on that fast track to the championship, it's only a matter of time before they whittle down and get you in the ring with the other great fighters in that weight division. It's got to happen.
Yeah, but the point is that you get to a certain point and you got to stay. Listen, people give me a hard time when it's not that I'm expecting knockout, drag-out fights all the time. But
not all the time.
But when you pound your chest and say you're the best, and then you're always fighting somebody that all the odds are in your favor. Wait, listen, I asked you point blank if you would have felt, just as satisfied winning someone when you got to call all the shots, and you said no. You said that you would want to walk away from a fight knowing that you gave it your best against a guy who was, equal to you, who gave it his best, and you won. That's more rewarding than in the back of your mind knowing that you're bigger, you're faster, you're stronger, you're younger, you're, a harder puncher, you're in your hometown, you're in the A side, you got more money. I mean, I'm sorry.
The ring's tailored for you?
Exactly. Now, my hang-up with the Charlo brothers is that I'm always looking for 50-50 fights at this stage of their careers. They're at the point right now where they should be fighting what I call a 50-50 fight. But fear not, boys and girls, because there are some 50-50 fights coming our way pretty quickly. Like, how about May 19th in Maryland? Gary Russell Jr. is putting his featherweight title on the line against Jojo Diaz. Now, Gary Russell Jr. is 28-1 with 17 knockouts, taking on Jojo Diaz. To me, this is a 50-50 fight. Jojo Diaz has not fought anybody of the Gary Russell talent level, but he has come through with every test that he has been on. I love this fight. Is another good one the week later. In Eddie Ramirez, only beaten one, 17-1 with 11 knockouts, is taking on former champ Argenis Mendez, who's 24 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. This is another 50-50 fight. These are the kind of fights that I want to see when I'm watching television, Sal. I want to see evenly matched fights on TV. All these other let's build up a record fights, they could be done at the club shows. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, we love to see the competitive fights, and we love to see people who are evenly matched. And, yeah, when we have a guy that's coming up and you see him thrown in there with maybe of a lesser opponent, he's getting that win. But when you're on the world-class level in contention for a title shot or a champion, you can't duck anybody. You should be fighting the very best. That's how you climb. That's how you get up the ladder. That's how you satisfy the fighters, the fans, the doubters, and the ones that are pro in your favor. So You fight anybody or anyone at any place, anytime, with the right negotiations and everything else. It's just that's the way it should be done, and that's what you and I always talk about, the old ways and now the new ways.
We do have a couple of good – now, I'm not going to go as far as saying they're 50-50 fights, and we'll talk about them more later in the week, but there are some good fights scheduled for this weekend. Beginning Friday, Devin Haney going up against Mason Renard. I like that fight. I also like – of course, the big event this weekend, Vasily Lomachenko taking on Jorge Linares. That's going to be a good fight. I mean, Lomachenko gets all the accolades, but he's going to be in there, with a bigger guy in Linares, so we'll see what happens. And then the fight that I was going to be ringside for, but unfortunately cannot attend now, Saddam Ali against Jamie Mugaya. Mugaya is a last-minute sub, so to speak. He's, only been announced about 2 weeks now. But I like that fight. It's not going to be a bad one. So, I mean, we got some good fights. One fight I don't recommend anyone watching is the Tony Harrison against Ishii Smith. Why does Ishii Smith even keep getting fights? I don't know. It's kind of a joke, but
he's got connections.
Yeah, I guess. But hey, listen, we got to take a short break. Sal, we're going to put you on hold for a little bit. We're scheduled to have Larry Hazzard join us, and then we'll do our blast from the past and get Sal back. I got some emails to read. A lot of stuff going on today, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about, I don't know, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to say about 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back.
Relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
Similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
This is important news for women using birth.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, talking boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
Undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. Joining us right now, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazzard. Good morning, Larry. How you doing today, my man?
Okay, Billy, I'm doing great. How you making out?
I'm doing good myself, brother. Doing good myself. And I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. One of the things is something that you and I have discussed in the past, And unfortunately, it's our another topic today before I get into the fight results from last weekend. But, some word out of England and Barry Hearn concerning the Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight. Rumor has it that it looks like they are both going to fight a fight first. Deontay Wilder taking on Dominic Brazil, and AJ doing his mandatory against Povetkin, and then hopefully fight each other at the end of this year or early next year. My thoughts on this, Larry, are the same as they've always been. I think there's too much risk here. I really believe when you're talking about the money that could be made and the implications of the fight itself, not only for these guys, personal careers, but for the division and the sport, I would be sitting down and saying, listen, let's do a 3-fight deal. Let's make the first fight next. Let's each have a fight in between. It'll give the guy who lost an opportunity to get a W. It'll give the guy who won an opportunity for a stay busy fight, and then have the rematch. The argument is that Team AJ feels that if they do the fight next, that they could only make as much as 600,000 pay-per-views, and if they wait a year, they could get as much as 2 million pay-per-views. I disagree with that. What's your thoughts on that line of thinking?
Well, sometimes it makes you wonder if they understand the business that we're in. We're in the fight game. Anything can happen in a fight. That's number one. The interest level. There are certain factors that you have to think about when you are thinking of putting together the so-called ideal match that everybody wants to see. I think that we all could agree right now that the heavyweight fight that most boxing fans really want to see right now is Joshua and Wilder. Okay, so the anticipation level for that fight is probably at its maximum level right now. In this game, that's when you have to go for it. You can't take chances as if you already have a script that is etched in stone, that if you take another fight in between the two major fighters are going to win. There's a chance that Brazil might beat his opponent. There's a chance that Povetkin might beat Joshua. Okay, there's always a chance, especially in a fight and in the heavyweight division. I think that they're taking a serious chance on that, one that I would not take. Also, I don't know if, in fact, you can guarantee that type of fan interest over a longer period of time. In my opinion, it's kind of starting to fizzle right now, because fans get fed up with the crap, with the BS. We know it's all about, for lack of a better term, greedy promoters, greedy managers and advisors who seem like they want to suck the public for every single dime they could get. And people, fans get fed up with that attitude. So I think it's ill-advised. I go back to one of our several discussions on this issue. A deal was put on the table that you and I both agreed was a great deal. And we also felt that Deontay Wilder would be ill-advised if, in fact, they prolonged the situation and if he did not agree to the package that was presented to him. It made sense financially, and I just think that it's a bad situation for him. I think he's being ill-advised, and I just don't feel that that anyone can guarantee that the fan interest is going to still be at the level where they could make that kind of money. I'm just not that sure that they can guarantee that. I think it's a bad move overall.
You know, Larry, I couldn't agree with you more. As a matter of fact, I was saying along the same lines. I mean, you know, Povetkin he's a power puncher. I mean, you know, he could upset the apple cart. And I got news for you. I might be the only person on the planet that really thinks that Dominic Breazeale will give Deontay Wilder a tough fight. I think this kid is underrated, especially for a guy. People forget that he started so late. He was a football player, you know, and you know, I mean, we all know how those conversion football players end up. But the truth of the matter is he can take a vicious shot, and he's got some pop. So both fights, in a sense, are exactly like you said, dangerous. And all it takes is either one of these guys to lose or even get a draw or even have a really bad performance to devalue the matchup. I don't think the fight is at a higher demand than it is right now. Right. You know, Deontay Wilder coming off a knockout win over Luis Ortiz, clearly his toughest opponent, and you know, and actually after a performance that many people didn't think was great, actually back-to-back performances that many people didn't think was great with Anthony Joshua, it gives even more value to the fight because prior to those two lackluster performances by AJ, many people didn't even think that Deontay Wilder had a chance. Now, you know, the tables are turned. You yourself feel that Deontay, South says the same thing, that they feel that Deontay Wilder could win. So I think that they're making a mistake, and I couldn't agree with you more that greed is getting in the way with thinking clearly. And like I've said, do a 3-fight deal. Have one in between. Somebody's going to lose the first one. Have a fight in between, and the rematch would be worth even more. There's something fishy about why they want to wait. That marination process, you know, we all saw what happened with Mayweather and Pacquiao. You know, very rarely does it really work. The only advantage these two guys have is that they're much younger than Pacquiao and Mayweather were, but I also say that I think it'll turn fans that have crossed back into the sport away. This is exactly what they're going to remember that pushed them away to begin with.
You're absolutely right. I can't agree with you more.
Hey.
I think that they are going to devalue the situation by prolonging it. Okay, because nobody's talking about that fight like they were coming when both of those guys, especially when Wilder came off of that win against Ortiz. Okay, his rating to me went up. Okay, he turned me over a little bit, and then for Joshua to come back and have such a lackluster performance, although I'm always willing to give what I consider a good fighter, because he is a good fighter. He's not great yet. Neither one of these guys are great fighters, in my opinion.
No, they need to fight each other. The winner will become a great fighter, right?
Absolutely. Great for this era. Absolutely.
Right. Well, yeah.
And what they're both doing, they're devaluing their own legacies by doing this nonsense. You know, because the fight itself really does not measure up to some of the anticipated classics that we've been used to in the heavyweight division. I mean, it's good for today's generation, but it doesn't match up at all to Ali Frazier or Holmes, even Holmes Coney, in my opinion. You know, this fight really doesn't even match up to that in terms of anticipation, you know, with the build-up and the promotion, etc. Okay, because the bottom line is, you know, building the fight up to its peak anticipation level. And so I think that they're missing it now because they had it. They had it at that point a very short time ago when both of these guys came off of their victories But the victories actually, in a way, increase the anticipation level because people began to say, and the conversation began to shift a little bit depending on your mindset. You know, those who were strongly of the belief that Joshua could beat Wilder began to say, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I might want to change that, including myself. You know, I think Wilder has shown me something here. Now they're getting ready now to just diminish that. And nothing's guaranteed. Suppose they both have lackluster performances against these guys, okay? Because, you know, even guys that people expect you could beat could make you look bad if they're, you know, fighting awkward. You could just have a halfway off day when nothing's working, even though you might win, but you will look bad. Suppose they both look bad. That means that Joshua now will be coming off 2 lackluster performances, and Wilder, you know, his worth is going to diminish a little bit if he comes off lackluster. So now that just takes away from the whole matchup, with the fact that fans are not stupid. They know this is all about money and greed now, and they begin to lose interest.
Yep.
So the reverse is actually going to happen if any of these things occur, and the chances of it occurring is pretty reasonable. I think they're just being ill-advised. I mean, it's totally, to me, it's totally not the way to go.
I agree with you 100%. Hey, we got a shout-out, super chat from my man Joel for you, Larry. He loves your segment, so he's giving us a super chat for that, so I appreciate that from Joel. And, you forget that AJ would have been, if he has a bad performance against Povetkin, he would be coming off of 3 lackluster performances, because the fight before the Joseph Parker fight was Carlos Takami. He has trouble with the shorter guys. Let me tell you, Povetkin is not a layup fight for Anthony Joshua. He has serious trouble fighting shorter guys, and I agree with what you said. When the heat was really on, when all anyone was talking about, especially after Deontay Wilder and that bogus, $50 million offer, when that came out, that's exactly when they should have signed the fight. Now, think of it this way. Let's say they do a typical, you want to marinate something, you want time to promote it, sign the fight, and have it scheduled for November. So you have all this time, and people would be talking about it from now until then. You're right to think that, and I'm with you. You're right to think that by waiting longer, it's going to push people away. I am 100% in agreement with that. But let's move, so we don't run out of time. Let's move to Triple G's performance over this past weekend. Destroyed Vanes Martirosyan in 2 rounds. I mean, Martirosyan, yes, he had limited time to prepare. Yes, he moved up in weight. But the one thing about Martirosyan was that he always displayed a granite chin. What was your thoughts in this fight? I mean, was it just, we had to watch Triple G take out his frustration on somebody, or did you see anything deeper than that?
Well, all of the above. I mean, Triple G, you destroy what's in front of you, okay? I don't think that Martirosyan was, anywhere near the type of fighter that could give Triple G any level of real competition. Okay, he's not in that class. Okay, regardless of how much time he would have had to train. But Triple G did not discourage or did not let us down. I expected him to get that guy out of there, and that's exactly what he did. I was a little surprised that he got him out as early as he did.
Yeah.
So his stock even went up. Yep. See, when a fighter like Triple G, who without a doubt is a fantastic fighter, okay, possibly pound for pound today with several others. He certainly is at the top of my list as pound for pound. Okay? That's what you like to see in fighters like that. We know going in, at least fight people that know the game, know going in, hey, this was a last-minute situation. You know, this guy really shouldn't be in there with him. Okay, but, you know, it's a fight game. Anything could happen. That's what I always say. But there's still an expectation that we still have for the better guy. And the pressure is on that guy to meet those expectations. See, so he is being measured no matter who's in there with him. If a guy is of lesser talent and doesn't belong there, then you expect him to get him out of there. Okay? No bullshitting around. Get him out of there. And that's what he did. So, overall, Triple D, I'm satisfied with the performance because he did what he was supposed to do, but he can't beat his chest over it because the guy really didn't belong there with him. So, you know, his stock remains the same or it even goes up a little bit, you know, for the highly anticipated bout against Alvarez whenever that happens. And when it does happen, you know, I expect him to do the same thing. This time around, I expect him to leave no doubt anybody's mind, even stronger than the first time. Okay, and so, you know, I thought it was a good performance, and you know, it to me, it just makes me salivate more for the rematch with Alvarez. I want to see that happen as soon as possible.
I got one thing I wanted to say. When Vanis Martirosyan in the post-fight news conference was asked, you know, hey, what advice would you give to Canelo if, you know, when he steps in the ring for the rematch with Triple G, and Martirosyan says, run.
Run.
Which I thought was pretty good. But, you know, talking about, you know, the potential rematch, which I personally, you know, if I'm Triple G, what really gets my goat about this Triple G Canelo fiasco, the rematch, is that Team Canelo, specifically Oscar De La Hoya, who I've always been a fan of, but it's hard to these days, you know, suggesting that everybody's being unfair to Canelo, and it's almost like they're making Canelo, you know, portrayed as the victim here, and big bad Triple G, you know, talking nasty in the press, which was the first time he's ever talked negatively about anyone, and he follows that with calling the outrage from the people about the performance-enhancing drug use of clenbuterol of Canelo. Basically, he called it ridiculous. He feels that no one should be as upset as they are. And, you know, I disagree. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts as a commissioner. I mean, you know, I know you follow what you say. You know, your obligation to fighters is to look out for their safety. They're not going to look out for their own safety. And like we've said many, many times, their corners are pretty damn tough for them too. So they're not going to look out for their safety. So guys like you have to be the guy who steps up and makes sure that the fighters who fight each other are safe, meaning fights get stopped in time, or et cetera, et cetera. And this falls into that, Larry. A guy that's going to take a performance-enhancing drug, whatever they're taking it for, should not be looked upon, at least in my opinion, as ridiculous. It should not be looked upon in any kind of light way. And I disagreed with the sentence. I know that they came back and said the hair follicle test, this and that, and I've come to find out that for performance-enhancing drugs, hair follicle tests aren't as accurate as I thought. So what's your thoughts on Oscar trying to spin it in one of two ways, or both ways? One, that Triple G's the bad guy here, and two, anybody that thinks this performance-enhancing drug use was a big deal is ridiculous. What's your thoughts?
Well, first off, why are you surprised that he's trying to spin it? Don't we live in a spin society? You know, he's only following the script of society. It's always spin it. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. It's your fault. It's the other guy's fault.
Right. Nobody's
else's fault.
Exactly. Nobody's held accountable anymore.
Yeah. Well, nobody's held accountable. I mean, this is something that extends well beyond boxing. You know, I had a promotion last week. Okay, the guy gets a document that tells him how much he owes the commission when we show up for the weigh-in, etc. Make a long story short, okay, everybody that promotes in New Jersey gets that document, tells you right there. So we get there, he's short the money. So okay, no problem, send it. Okay, he was told to send it in. Now, I call him up, he's blaming the deputy, okay, and with all this bullshit about, oh, well, that's their stuff. And my question to him was, did you receive the document that told you how much you owe? Yes. Case closed. Send the money in or you're going on suspension. Okay? Case closed. See, when you allow people to spin this bullshit around, then you lose sight of the real issue. The real issue here is that if a fighter or an athlete takes performing-enhancing drugs, he not only is doing harm to himself, but he's also putting himself in a position where he's going to harm the opponent. He has a unfair disadvantage going in, and it's our responsibility to prevent that. So we have to protect him from himself, and we have to protect the other guy. So when people try to spin these situations around, it's all bullshit, okay? And in order for the message to get across, when we catch these guys, we have to discipline them severely, very severely, so that it hurts them financially and it sends a bigger message to the industry. When we fail to do that, then we are negligent in our duties as the overseers and the gatekeepers of the sport. So that's my feeling on it. And for the promoter to try to spend it, well, that doesn't surprise me, because we live, as I say, in a society where it's always the other guy's fault, or it's always society's fault. You know, the laws are wrong. It's always that. So, you know, that type of stuff and I like Oscar. Oscar was a great fighter. Oscar's a great guy. Okay. So, I mean, you know, it doesn't surprise me. You see it all the time, not just in boxing, but you see it in everything. So that's the way it is.
Yeah, you know, you get pulled over for speeding, and a person will say, "It wasn't my fault. My speedometer must be wrong." Or, you know, I mean, nobody's held accountable for anything anymore, Larry. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. But in any event, one last thing, and we got to go. David Haye gets knocked out by Tony Bellew again. You know, I was never impressed with David Haye, ever, no. Even as a cruiserweight. I mean, yes, he accomplished a lot, but, you know, the toughest fight at the time against Christopher Lazarek, he kind of moved up in weight, and his reign at heavyweight, I personally thought he lost to Nikolai Valuev, but the kicker for me, no pun intended, was when he fought Klitschko, and if you remember, he chased this guy around for like couple of years, you know, showing up, you know, Klitschko, Klitschko's at a mall and poof, David Haye shows up, you know, Klitschko's in his bathroom, he opens up, goes to get in the shower, and David Haye's sitting in the shower, you know, I mean, you know, crazy stuff, and then he fights, you know, telling he's going to do all this stuff to him, and he fights him, and he literally runs around the ring, then he puts his toe up on the podium and says, the reason why I couldn't win is because I broke my little toe, you know, I mean, you know, and then he follows with this, and he gets knocked out twice. And they're almost ready to give an excuse that he hurt his leg. Is this the final end for this guy? I mean, what do you think?
Well, it should be. He should go somewhere and sit down now. You know, like you say, he went through his Shannon Briggs act early on the first time. okay, and you saw what happened. And so here we go again. So, I mean, who wants to see David Haye fight?
Not me.
You know, he talks a good game, and that's it. He should go somewhere and hang up his gloves and kiss the sport goodbye now. That's it.
I think he kind of did already. It's just that people over in England keep paying to see this guy. I don't get it. But anyway, hey, listen, Larry, enjoy the fights this weekend. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about next week. I think Lomachenko and Jorge Linares. I mean, we all know Lomachenko is a superstar, and you know he's one of the top guys in the sport. Linares is going to be a test for him, I think. You know, he's got speed, he's bigger. I'm really looking forward to this fight.
Well, if he fights as good as he's talking, it should be a good fight. So I'm looking forward to it also.
All right, my man. Well, listen, you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, Billy. You too.
All right, take care. That's Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazzard. And a word of advice to anyone that is a fighter or involved with the sport as a promoter or a matchmaker or a manager, if you plan on going to New Jersey and fighting under the guide of Larry Hazzard, you better make sure you know the rules, because you're not going to get any slides with that guy. That's for sure. And rightfully so. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, this week's Blast from the Past, Charles the Stockton Cyclone Turner. Who's he? I don't know. I got to wait for Alex Pierpoli to tell me. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free. Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And it's that time again. That's right. It's time for the Blast from the Past. And this week's Blast from the Past is being brought to us by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Sign up today. And it's also being brought to us in part by the Title Bout Championship computer game. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Title Bout Championship computer game banner and download your copy today. Or get one of the trivia questions, right, and you'll get a free copy. But do that today. Now, this week's Blast from the Past, which was a request, and don't forget, if you have a request, just drop me an email, billy@talkingboxing. Let me spell it for you. TALKINBOXING.com. Today features a fighter. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Wasn't even a world champion. Oh, wait. He might have been. We'll talk about that in a second. But a very interesting cat. And his brother used to fight as well. Charles the Stockton Cyclone Turner is who we're talking about today. And who's going to tell us all about this guy? Because I certainly don't know a thing about him, is my man Alex Pierpoli. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good today. Pretty good. The Stockton Cyclone. I know. Do we have enough time to talk about all the stuff that you've uncovered about this guy, or what?
I think so. I think we got a good blast. I just want to say a big thank you to Dan Cuoco and everybody at Ibro because, it's one of those things where, I'm a stubborn guy and I never asked for help. And I asked for help on this guy because when you sent me him, I was like, who is he? And I looked him up and all I found in a couple of searches was like 2 links, and they both were BoxRec and the one Cyber Boxing Zone. And but then Ibro hooked me up, and Henry Haskup sent me an obituary.
The one thing I'm assuming here, because when I got my data on him as well, I see that he had 30 fights. 30 total fights. But that was in the gloved era. Didn't he also fight in the bare knuckle time?
That's a good question. There seems to be a discrepancy of when his career started. BoxRec claims it's with this McPherson fight, which does seem to be, at least I do have a report, newspaper report of that fight. He listed at 1889. However, Cyber Boxing Zone says his career started earlier than that, more like 1884. So I don't know. But they do list, so it could be that those fights in 1884 were all bare knuckle, and then maybe the first 1889 bout was gloved. I don't know, but Cyber Boxing Zone lists 6 fights in 1884, and it's unclear whether or not those were bare knuckle days. At least to me, I don't know.
Well, one of the things that was clear to me was that this guy fought a lot of fight to the finishes, because when you look I was like wondering if I needed to put on reading glasses, because like, for example, his fight in 1889 against Billy Hennessy, he won by knockout in the 45th round. 45. Now we're talking about the gloved era, so we're talking about legit 3-minute rounds with a minute rest in between, and we're talking about a knockout in the 45th round. I mean, I don't even know if I could sit and watch a fight that long. He's got several others in the 20s, and when the way they describe it, they'll have when the knockout took place and then what the scheduled round was, and a majority of his fights, Alex, show knockout round 22 / who knows how long the fight was. It's like fight to a finish is what I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, it seems like it. And he definitely had scheduled 25 rounders, scheduled finish fights. He has one fight that went 17 rounds. And think about that. If it started as late as they did the Saturday night on HBO, you'd be up till 3 a.m. to watch a fight like that.
You'd be up till Monday morning. What are you talking about? But he was born in Stockton, California. I mean, that's why they call him the Stockton Cyclone, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'll do get back into our form here. There are a couple of questions about him. Charlie Turner, the Stockton Cyclone, was born. This is a little, again, discrepant. January 1st, 1862 in Stockton, California. Couldn't find his height.
Now, wait a minute. I just want to interrupt you for a sec. A lot of times when they don't have the exact birth date, they'll put January 1st. I don't know why they do that.
I wondered if that was the case.
Yeah, because there were some others. Where did I had a note that some people say that he was born on August 13th. No, I'm sorry. He died on August 13th. But some other. I thought I had a date, but go on. I didn't mean to.
One thing we know, and maybe this is how they backdated it, is that in the 1900 census, the U.S. Census, he was 40 years old, and his profession was listed as pugilist. So perhaps they took, 1900 minus 40. Well, that doesn't equal 1862, does it?
I don't know. It depends what math class you attended.
Right. It's so it would be 1860. So it could be that date's wrong. Okay. So, but he fought between like 147 to 156, 157. Of course, back then, that's basically a middleweight. If you're fighting over 147, welterweight, middleweight. Today he would be straddling 3 weight classes because he certainly would have. Nowadays it would be likely he would have fought in 3 divisions rather than just 2. So that I do have that fight report of the William McPherson fight, and that was January 11th, 1890. He lost a lively 43-rounder. McPherson was in splendid shape, but the Stockton Cyclone, this is interesting, Bill, he wasn't fully recovered. Some of his cuts were only partially healed from a beating he had taken in a saloon on Christmas Eve. And there was parts of the fight where the crowd was booing and nothing was happening. At one point, actually, the referee had to urge them to fight. And, you kind of got to figure 10 rounds, you got to kind of blow off maybe, and you're fighting a 43-rounder. But they did, it did pick up the pace. And by the end, in the 43rd round, both men were so weak they could barely hold up their hands, and the fight was declared a draw. It sounded like a bloodbath. I guess Turner was bleeding badly from those cuts. His face, shoulders were all covered with blood, but McPherson was in good shape, other than, of course, being exhausted. Then in April 16th, I have a listed arrest report, or sentence rather, in a April 16th, 1890. He was arrested and fined for disturbing the peace of an old woman. Not sure what that means, if that's a harassment, like a pled down harassment charge. I'm not sure. Disturbing the peace of a person. I can see, usually nowadays it's if you're causing a disturbance in an establishment or something. But
I saw also a arrest record in May of 1893 for robbing some cash and a gold watch, etc. Was arrested and had to make bail. He was convicted of that and did a year for it. And that was 1894. Oh, another thing that I stumbled across, which doesn't make any sense, because according to the box rec, now just, box rec is not official when it comes to, fighters that are fighting today. If you're a promoter and you're going to put on a fight, you use Fight Facts, but BoxRec, one thing I admire about BoxRec is they usually don't put a fight on BoxRec unless they can verify that the fight actually happened. But something that's kind of a little mix-up for me is that under BoxRec, they have listed that he fought some guys. First of all, they have him weighing about 190 pounds, which defeats the purpose of the divisions he fought in. And some fights that they mention is he fight a 49-round draw with Billy McRusin. Beat guys that, known fighters like Petey Brown, Billy Graham, Jack McCauley. I can't find those fights on the BoxRec though. It's listed under some big wins and losses. And Jack McCauley, he's claimed that he fought him not once but twice. I don't see either of those fights on BoxRec.
Yeah, it is strange, like what's there and what's not there. I don't know.
And at least one thing we do know, that Nate Fleischer from the Ring magazine actually talked about him, during his life, and said he was a great two-fisted fighter, as fearless as they come, and he won over 90% of the fights that he fought, and that doesn't match the BoxRec either.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, because one of the things that I looked at was, oh God, let me see if I can find the. Here I go with shuffling papers.
Yeah.
There's a book that I actually bought on Kindle from the recommendation of Hazel on iBro. It's actually a pretty good book. What I was reading, it's called I Fight for a Living, and I actually, I was intending to save my boxing book budget for Canastota, but when I started looking into this book last night, I bought it on Kindle, and it's very interesting. It talks about how boxing, especially in that San Francisco area on the West Coast, there was got really popular, and there was a lot of fighting clubs. And one of the things that I saw that was kind of interesting, and this has to do with his brother, Joe Croft, who was well known in the sporting circle. He was, I guess, a German, and some of the other fighters were messing with him, and they had kind of they mentioned in some of the banter that one of them had purchased a tin gun as a gift for Charlie Turner's son. But I wonder if that was actually his brother, because he was much older than his brother. He's at least 16 years older than his brother. So at the time, this was April 21st, 1890, I wonder if his brother, Roof Turner, hung around with him, and maybe people thought he was his son. But I don't see ever that he was ever married or had children later in life. But yeah, some of the fights that I think he had sounded like real thrillers against, and this guy's got a great name, against the Black Pearl, Harris Martin. They had a fight at a sporting club. And these guys made good money at the time. And this what I was saying, that the book that I purchased, I Fight for a Living, they referred to Charlie Turner as a second-tier black fighter of the age. So yeah, that is a little. I mean, from what you were reading, the Nat Fletcher comments make it sound like he was. For him to have actually won 90% of his bouts or deserving of a decision, that suggests he thought he was even better than that.
You mentioned Harris Martin, the Black Pearl. We complained today that we have so many titles and who's the real champ and everything else. Well, during this era, they actually, and this is one of the worst parts of our sport. The black fighters fought for the colored world titles. They wouldn't let them fight for regular world titles. And, we complain about so many titles. Well, Harris Martin, who was the Black Pearl, declared that he was the colored world middleweight champion after he beat Black Frank Taylor, and subsequently fought Charles Turner. Charles Turner won the fight. It went pretty long way. It went 19 rounds for he won by knockout. It was a 19 round fight that was scheduled to a fight to the finish. And at the end of the fight, Charles Turner thought he was now the new colored world middleweight champion. And then it turned out that the Black Pearl really wasn't the champion, that he went on telling people he was the champion. And, here we have all these belts, and back then you had to worry about if the guy really was the champion, because during this era you would claim to be the champ, and then people would have to dethrone you. So it wasn't really followed as securely as you would think.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we've talked about, I think, with doing other guys from around this time or soon after, that depending on where you were and what club, because that's one of the things that was very popular at this time, were white-owned athletic clubs. And some of them allowed, a black fighter to fight a white fighter. Some places didn't. And like we've talked about when we did John L. Sullivan, at a lot of places, not only was a black fighter versus a white fighter illegal, but boxing at all was illegal. And there was one fight where it seems as if Turner may have killed his white opponent. And that was a crazy one, because the headline was like, it was a tame affair, but the guy he fought, Jess Clark, died. It's hard to verify, but the article said he is not expected to live, and the police are actually looking for Charlie Turner. I don't know what ended up happening with that, but that is listed in BoxRec, and it's April 1st, 1896. But yeah, that was one of the things that this I Fight for a Living book does a really good job talking about, is that the sporting clubs, they would have their own champions. Now, this fight against Harris Martin that was at one of those sporting clubs, this sounds, because got a hold of a blow by blow. And this sound like put this in there from the sound of it with Trinidad versus Vargas. If I could just read the last round. In 19th round, Turner swung his right and ducked, and the Pearl missed a beautiful opportunity to uppercut him. He made up for it a second later by smashing Turner in the nose. Suddenly, Turner swung his right with terrific force. It landed on the Pearl's jaw, and the fight was over. He dropped like a log to the floor and lay motionless as he was counted out. He raised his head slightly and then sank back. He was carried to his corner and there revived by his seconds. So it just sounds very dramatic. That's one of the things that the I Fight for a Living book talks about, that one of the things that definitely happened, that changed there in the West Coast, that made boxing popular and gloved boxing, with Marquis of Queensberry rules, which were kind of new at this time, was the white middle class embraced it as this athletic aesthetic. And that's one of the things that I think is true today. That's why I like boxing so much more than MMA. To me, boxing is beautiful. Yes, it has awful possibilities, and it's brutal, but there's a poetry in motion to it. There's a beauty in that. And MMA, because of the styles, the way it clashes, always ends up, to me, there's no aesthetic there. But at this time, it seemed that the white middle class embraced boxing, so these clubs were very popular. A guy like Charlie Turner made really good money for the age, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, he made $1,000 in 1892 when he fought the Black Pearl. So, big money back then, that's for sure. But he did fight young Peter Jackson, who I believe is a Hall of Famer. Fought him a couple of times, and like I said, I have discrepancies with who he fought. But he had a brother too, and I don't mean to jump the ship, but I want to. We're running out of time. He had a brother, like you mentioned, Rufy Turner, short for Rufus, who had substantially more fights. He was 62 wins, 42 by knockout. with 22 losses and 21 draws. He fought Joe Gans. His brother fought Joe Gans a couple of times, and also Kid Williams, Sam Bolin, Dave Holly, some more commonly known names. But Charlie Turner died fairly young, 51 years old. I don't know what he died of. Do you?
Just said after an illness of several weeks at the home of his dear old ma. And like you said, Rufy Turner was at his bedside. There was a time, and this is probably a good trivia question. The two brothers fought on the same card, and that was when Charlie fought Jimmy Lawler. Roof Turner fought Jimmy Lawler on the undercard of Turner's destruction at the hands of young Peter Jackson. At that time, one of the things the Record Union of Sacramento said was that they referred to Turner as once a clever pugilist, but now stale. So his best days were past him. The only thing I have that he did after boxing was that he did train Roofy at times, or Roof Turner. Sometimes I see it with an eye, sometimes I see it without. Roofy, of course, I don't know if Roofies existed back then, but and one time I saw it as Rube Turner. So that's the things that happens when you research some of these old guys.
Whoa, wait a minute. They didn't have spell check?
Yeah, or maybe they did and they changed it to Rube.
Oh, I see. Right, didn't double check it. That's for sure. But how did the Stockton Cyclone do in title bout?
He did very well considering. He was pretty obscure. I put him in again because I think he would straddle 3 divisions if he existed today. I put him in against the top guys at the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board. The number 1 guy in the world right now at welterweight is Mr. Errol Spence Jr. At 154, it's Jarrett Hurd. And at 160, it's the monster we saw this weekend, Gennady Golovkin. Against Spence, the first time they fought, Spence wins a unanimous decision, 114 to 112 twice, one score of 115-112. Spence had Turner down in the 11th. When they fight 100 times, Spence does really well. Turner only wins 9. He loses 89. They have 2 draws. He scored 8 KOs in his 9 wins. Spence scored 70 knockouts. Against Jarrett Hurd, the first time they fight, Charlie Turner wins by knockout at 39 seconds of round number 9. Hurd put Turner down in the 5th and the 3rd, but the 3rd was even on all 3 cards, but Hurd was ahead on points when the end came. When they fight 100 times, Hurd gets the better of it, but not by as much. Turner wins 37, loses 57, draws 6, scores 18 knockouts in his 57 wins. Jarrett Hurd had 26 KOs. And finally, against Triple G, the first time they fight, Turner wins by KO at 119 of round number 10 in what sounds like a hell of a fight. Turner had Golovkin down 4 times, and Triple G put Turner down in the 3rd. Triple G was down once in the 7th and 8th. Well, I don't know, whatever. 4, you know what I said there. 4 times total. When they fight 100 times, Turner wins 43, loses 55, draws 2. He scores 27 knockouts. Of the 55 victories, 48 were scored by KO for Triple G.
Yeah, it seemed like he would either win by knockout or lose by knockout, huh?
Yeah, a lot of times, true.
Yeah, well, I wish I remember who requested him, and I don't, but I thank you, whoever did, because
I do too. Yeah, that's really what's cool.
And especially for a guy that a lot of times for some of these older fighters, from years gone by, a lot of times. Both Alex and myself have the luxury of, they're Hall of Famer, they're world champion. There's data on them, and the Stockton Cyclone, not so much, But you did a great job. I tell you, I was saying to myself, geez, maybe I should, Especially after I got your response. Who?
when I first heard it, I was like, who?
I know. That's why I very rarely send you the link, right? I said I better send him the link this time, you know. But anyway,
worked out great, and really big thanks to Ibro. They really hooked us up.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, my biggest confusion is, you know, all these fights against these big names that I can't find, you know, the Jack McGawleys and the Billy Grahams and, you know, the William Johnson fights. I mean, they're not on his box rec, but nonetheless.
It's interesting. It seemed he did fight Bobby Dobbs, who was another great black fighter of the day, but a bigger guy. So he did punch up at some of in his. So he must have been a pretty hard hitter.
Yeah, well, the Bobby Dobbs fight was an 11-round draw. 11 rounds. What's up with that?
Yeah.
I guess they decided. I guess
you can't go 33.
No, listen, I mean, they mustn't have trained for that one. But, you know, the funny thing is they say, okay, listen, you know, we want to avoid draws, so let's do an 11-round fight. There's no there's no way that we could get a draw out of 11 rounds, right? Wrong. I guess maybe Adelie Bird was one of the judges. But anyway, great job as usual, Alex.
Yeah, Billy C. I did want to show you my friend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, when you sent me that, I you know, that whole trip that we took together popped in my head. You know, in case we told the story on air, but I'll say real quick. I know we're over here, but Alex and I were traveling back from Florida, and we pulled over to a place to get fuel. And now, first of all, let me say, Alex is really into reptiles, all right? I mean, you know, this guy loves them, right? So we pull into this gas station, and I'm getting gas, and, you know, he's standing out, stretching his legs, and Alex looks and totally serious. He says, oh, my God, look, gator heads, right? He says, gator heads. And I said, yeah. And or what did it say? Gator heads or or did it say gators?
Yeah, it said gator heads.
Yeah.
So I thought it was right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's going. So Alex says gator heads. Oh, we must be near the Florida Gators thing. I said yeah. He says what's up with that? I said go ahead, go on in there, check it out, right? And because I was at the pub and stuff, and the look on Alex's face when he came back, he's going, it was a gator head. He's going,
I was aghast. Yeah, all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, I said I could have told you, but I really wanted you to go experience it yourself.
Decapitated gators. But yeah, a friend of mine just went to Florida, and I told him that story, and of course he brought one back.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Alex, great job as usual. Our blast from today, Charles, the Stockton Cyclone Turner. According to the records I'm going to go by, he had 16 wins, 14 by knockout, 8 losses, in which 7 came by knockout, 6 draws, 331 rounds. For 30 fights, 331 rounds, I guess that would back up, going 40 rounds at 3 minutes a round. But Charles Turner, our blast from the past. Great job again, Alex, and we look forward to you next time, my man.
Billy C., thanks very much.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I got, what's his name joining us? Oh, that's right, Sal. Don't go nowhere.
Billy C. will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free. Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
Similar belts can cost you almost $1,000. But my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And back with us today is my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. And before we get going here, I just want to give a special thanks to my man Johnston. Just gave us a super chat. And he not only gave us a super chat, he gave us some updated news on the World Boxing Super Series. Chris Eubank Jr. Will be the first choice to replace George Groves if it's proven that George Groves is unfit to continue for this World Boxing Super Series. If you can recall, both of these finals have been postponed. And Groves had that shoulder injury that they made it seem like it wasn't that bad. So I guess it's a little worse than they thought, Sal.
Well, I hope Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are listening to this and can realize that, you know, there are things that can happen that can derail any fight. So, yeah, it's a shame. And I sure wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he'll get back on the horse again real soon.
We got a couple of emails I want to read. Now, I got several of them. So if I don't get to your email today, we will get to the rest of them tomorrow. We'll add them to tomorrow's list. But first and foremost, we're going to go with Jesse. He says, hey, guys, Triple G did what he needed to do and impressed, but Vanis is not a middleweight. Triple G must face Charlo, Billy Joe, Jacobs, Andrade, Sergey Devenchenko next. You know what my thought on this, and no disrespect to Jesse, Sal, but Triple G doesn't have to fight anybody. This is not a guy that has to prove himself. He just tied Bernard Hopkins' record for the most successful world title defenses at middleweight. He's undefeated. He was robbed in the Canelo fight. Charlo doesn't deserve a fight with him. I want to see Charlo fight a real fighter. How about Charlo taking on Daniel Jacobs? As far as Sergey Devenchenko, come on, man. You know, that was a mandatory that the IBF was going to throw at Triple G. And Sergey Devenchenko, I know he's got an extensive amateur career. So does Triple G. And Devenchenko doesn't even have 20 pro fights. Nah, I'm sorry. I think Triple G has earned his position in boxing in the middleweight division to pick who he wants to fight next. And, of course, he's not going to be a Charlo brother and pick some less than stellar opponent. It's going to be a guy like Billy Joe Saunders, a rematch with Daniel Jacobs, or Canelo Alvarez. What's your thoughts on that comment from Jesse, Sal?
Well, in all due respect to Jesse, I could see where he's coming from, but like I told you, Billy, the other day, you know, when you're on the top of your game and you're king of the mountain, people are going to always look to disprove or to discredit or to dismantle by either words, theories, hypothesis, whatever it might be. The bottom line is this: Triple G has done a lot for the middleweight division and for boxing, and he has not ducked anybody. He is the best out there in the middleweight division, says his belts and says his performance in the ring. You know, they knock him also because he wasn't so Superman stellar against a Kell Brook or Anthony Jacobs, Daniel Jacobs. And, guess what, guys? Those are two top middleweights that are on top of their game, world class, and they were not going to be a run-over, push-over kind of fight, and that's not what you expected to see. So to know that, Triple G, well, he just cracked one orbital bone, but, he set Kell Brook back with that. And Daniel Jacobs, I'll tell you what, it was a great fight, but Triple G did come out the victor.
Well, remember with the Jacobs fight, Sal? First of all, he dropped Jacobs, and second of all, Jacobs didn't get on the scale. Remember how big he was? He was
huge.
Yeah, so I mean, come on, I don't know. I think this is a little unfair, Jesse.
Well, and like I said, in all due respect to Jesse, and I understand, because like I said, you're gonna look at what might be out there that you could bite on to make a case and stuff. But guys, I'm gonna tell you, it's like I told you, Billy, the other day. People are not gonna be happy until they discredit, dismantle, or lower Triple G's status in some way, shape, or form. And the bottom line is, this guy's given a lot to the sport of boxing. He's given a lot to the middleweight division. And I'm a Triple G fan. And, I'm not saying he's going to remain unbeaten forever, because nobody really can, unless you retire like Rocky Marciano, 49-0, 43 KOs. That's a heavyweight division, by the way. It's a game of boxing. It's a rough game. It's a tough game. It's not for those that want to just sit back and just be a casual observer. It's a tough game. And to know and to say, and you could be a casual observer. I didn't mean anything disrespectful there either. But the bottom line is, to draw an opinion, to say something, you've got to understand the whole big picture of the sport of boxing. And Triple G, like I said, for him, because he didn't look Superman stellar against Jacobs or Brook, he fought two world-class world beaters, and he did win. So I give him a pass on that. And, he did what he had to do against Marozsian, and he did it well. And the bottom line is, should he have done anything less? No, he shouldn't. So the next opponent he fights, I hope it is Canelo Alvarez, for a lot of the reasons I heard Larry Hazzard say. It's just got to be justifiable. And like I said, more than ever, I want to see that nasty streak in Triple G that he displayed the other night. And I want to see him fight angry but controlled. And I want to see him really just give it to Canelo Alvarez. And then we'll see what the people are going to say after that.
Jesse goes on to say, Ryan Garcia didn't impress me, even though he wobbled Veliz a couple of times. He needs much work, like he's moving back too much. He exchanges, he bends his knee. He needs to bend his knees. He needs to have more head movement, more jabbing, more body work, especially working against pressure. He'd like to see him fight Ryan Kieslowski, Matt Remillard, Rod Salika. Would be good opponents and would build experience. I agree with those matchups. We're talking about a different fighter than Triple G. Triple G doesn't have to prove anything. Ryan Garcia's on his way up. Yes, he says I think Spike O'Sullivan would be a good matchup with Levin Kaitrov, Gabe Rosado, Luis Arias, Majik Solinsky, or Dimitris Andrade, or even Sergio Deverenchenko. There'd be action-packed fights. He brings the fight. He said, would you accept Spike against Triple G? Triple G doesn't have to fight a Spike O'Sullivan. Spike O'Sullivan against any of the other names. I'd like to see him against Solinsky. I think Solinsky deserves another shot for a big fight. Again, Triple G, in my opinion, he's got one of three fights that, and then I would really call it a day. I'd like to see either, like Sal said, the rematch with Canelo. I personally don't even want to see him fight that fight. I'd rather see him fight Billy Joe Saunders and then walk away. Daniel Jacobs deserves a rematch. And, if anything, beat the snot out of one of the Charlo brothers. That's all. But, hey, listen, I got several other emails that we'll talk about tomorrow. And I got a specific one that backs up some stuff that I had said several times, but in recent times about, I hate to say it, but about Floyd Mayweather. And I'm constantly saying that Floyd Mayweather should focus on his promotional company, but I've also said that I feel that one of Floyd's problems with being a successful promoter is the fact that his ego is too big, and that he doesn't want to get a fighter that, you know, could achieve anything close to what he's achieved. And, you know, two prominent examples are Adrian Broner and Gervonta Davis, both having some trouble after they get under the so-called wing of Floyd Mayweather. Now, a guy that realized that early on, who still is under Mayweather Promotions banner, was Badou Jack. Badou Jack seems to have distanced himself from Floyd Mayweather, and look at the turnaround in his career. I'm just saying, I got some stuff to talk about. I got some new opinions and feelings from Gervonta Davis about that very issue, and some comments, of course, from my man Mitch. So make sure you tune into tomorrow's show for that. Our trivia question. It's a tough one, but I got a hint, because one of our wrong answers from my man Coach is actually going to be my hint today. The question is, what do Ted Kid Lewis, Dave Shade, and Young Stribling all have in common? If you're the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game, the same game that Alex just used for our blast from the past. So if you're the first one to email me, you'll win that. So I'm going to read the question one more time, and then I'm going to give you the hint, all right? What do Ted Kid Lewis, Dave Shade, and Young Stribling all have in common? Here's the hint. And I want to thank Coach for his wrong answer, but this is a good hint, all right? And it's not the answer, but it is a true statement about these three. All of these fighters have had over 200 fights each throughout their careers. All of these fighters have had over 200 fights each in their careers. But it's not the answer that I'm looking for. So the reason why it's a hint is take a look at some of the other things that these three guys have in common. If you get the right answer and you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Good luck to everyone on that one. What's up, Sal, real quick?
Okay, I think I know. They either all from the state of Georgia, or they all stayed at Holiday Inn Express.
I think they may have all stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, and only one of them I think is from Georgia. But anyway, good try. At least I thought you were going to say that they married Jack Dempsey's sister. But
they all dated her.
Yeah, they all dated her. They all dated her. And she said, "Come on, one of you guys got to get off." Oh no, wait. But anyway, on this day in boxing history, May 9th, in 1941, Billy Seuss wins a 15-round decision over Ken Overland to win the world middleweight title. It took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City. On this day in 1930, young Jack Thompson, sounds like a name for a turkey. Young Jack Thompson wins a 15-round decision over Jackie Fitzis. I can't even read. You know what? I guess I'm gonna have to start. Fitzis to win the world welterweight title in Detroit. On this day in 1970, Vincent Salvador wins a 15-round decision over Johnny Famichan to win the world featherweight title. It took place in Rome. On this day in 1892, Billy Pilmer knocks out Tommy Kelly in the 10th round to win the world bantamweight title in Brooklyn, New York. On this day in 1908, Stanley Ketchel knocks out Jack Twin Sullivan in the 20th round to win the vacant world middleweight title in Coloma, California. And finally, on this day in 1992, Terrible Terry Norris knocks out Meldrick Taylor in the 4th round to retain his WBC World Junior Middleweight title, and that took place at the Mirage Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. I want to make one correction on the show. I think I misspoke earlier today. The views that Triple G got against the Vanis Martirosyan fight was 1.4 million. Short of 1.5 million. I think I mistakenly said 14 million, which is totally wrong. But anyway, so if you already sent me an email correcting me, I picked up on it, all right? But listen, tomorrow I got that stuff to go over. We got possibility of some updates on the show in terms of air times, all that stuff. But listen, the most important thing is make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.